Hey, welcome back to the Above Board podcast. I'm John Kennedy, one of your hosts today, and we're going to be talking about one of the most critical times of the year, at least for me and probably is for you too, and it's the last 90 days of the year. Think back to January. Remember all those big goals you set for yourself? Well, it's crunch time, and it's not just about finishing the year, it's setting the tone for the next year. Like think back to January. We were energized, maybe full of ambition. People were hitting the gym, they were doing their budget, taking care of their finances, working really hard. But fast forward to now, here in the end of September, it's almost holiday season. People are kind of pulling back, renegotiating with themselves on what they want to accomplish this year. And I find that it's just so easy to lose focus, especially when you're overwhelmed and overstimulated by everything that's happening around you, whether that's the markets, which certainly affects me. I mean, that's something we look at every single day in my profession, or the election that's coming up within the next month, or just literally every time you turn on the news and there's just bad news on TV. But here's the reality. The next 90 days could be the difference between coasting into the year or launching you into the next year with momentum. I once heard famous motivational speaker Ed Mylett, he also has a podcast that I follow, call this time of year separation season. It's this idea of like putting distance between yourself as you are now and a better version of yourself. Or I think really the idea he's trying to land is like creating competitors in your mind that are working against you, or you're working against them, and you're creating separation or distance by putting in more work and more effort and more time. And while everyone is so easily distracted right now and stressed or taking vacations going into the holiday time, or maybe they're in panic mode, you could be focused, determined, and improving and creating this separation season. So I'm a big believer that the habits you build right now will determine how you go into 2025. And hopefully we're going into that with momentum. I know this phrase of like grind it out is part of hustle culture, and it's not really a positive phrase. But grinding it out doesn't have to mean burning, sacrificing everything else. I think it's about just being intentional and focused on action. So what are you going to be doing now to put yourself in a better place than you were in January? And I hope you know, I honestly, as I record this today, I say a lot of this as just some like personal motivation for me and affirmations for me to live up to as well. Anyone that knows me well knows that I just love progress. Like I'm comfortable with it being slow. I'm comfortable with it being messy, just as long as I move the ball even like one half of a yard on the football field on any given day. And by the way, some days I don't feel like I do that at all. Some days I feel like I'm even going backwards. But then I look at this checklist that I create for myself of the things that I did on that day, and I can feel proud and I can feel productive and kind of change some of that thought pattern. So as you're listening to this, let's maybe first start by taking a moment to reflect on how far you've come. Now, think ahead to December, and if you took intentional, focused action in the next 90 days, how much better could you be? So from January through the end of September, how far you've come, and now we've got October, November, and December. Imagine walking into 2025 completely leveled up during one of the most stressful times of the year. And so you're probably thinking like, oh, this is all great, John, like fun woo-woo stuff, but like, how do you make this actually happen? Well, here are 3 steps that I think it helps me maximize my time. And I hope that it does for you as well for the next 90 days. The first one, and these are simple, guys. Like this is not, we don't need to overthink it. The first one is revisit your goals. Look back at your goals that you set in January. Are they even still relevant? Did you complete some of them? Are some of them so out of reach that you don't want to do them anymore? If not, adjust them. That's okay. Focus on what matters most to you right now. And if you didn't write down goals at all, even better, let's start today. No better time than the present. Focus on 3 different goals for the next 90 days. That's it. 3 goals for 3 areas of your life: fitness, finance, and family. The second step is to create a daily checklist. This checklist should be, for me, it's 3 things that I do every day to advance the aforementioned goals in those areas of fitness, finance, and family. And these are things that you'll accomplish without question every single day. And they don't need to be monumental. They just need to build good habits. So for example, a fitness goal could look like walking every day for 45 minutes. Or a family goal for me anyway. Actually, this has been one of mine for a long time in 2024 is spend 30 minutes of uninterrupted active playtime with my kids without a phone nearby. Now, I know 30 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but it ends up morphing into so much more. And this intentionality of putting my phone away, like I think you'd be shocked at how much that level of intentionality keeps you present and like having fun and having engagement with your family. So for me, that's an example of a family goal. The third thing is tracking it. So I use a daily planner called the Full Focus Planner by Michael Hyatt to track all these things. And it's one thing to say to myself, like, oh, I'm going to do these 3 things every single day. It's another to be forced to like face it and look at it and check it off a list every day, or maybe not check it off and just have to deal with being frustrated with myself for not accomplishing one of those 3 things. I find that physically having it written down every single day helps me actually do it. And by the way, I am in no way, shape, or form affiliated with this Full Focus Planner. I just think it's a good one, and it's one that I've been using for years. We could simplify this though. Like this is literally just a pen and paper and a sheet of paper that you write on. It could be a notebook or literally just a sheet of printer paper, or it could be an app on your phone. Like same effect. So again, just to recap, review your goals, focus on 3 different areas: fitness, finance, and family, and then create a daily checklist of 3 things that you can do every single day to work towards those goals between now and then the end of this year. And then last but not least, just do your best to block out the noise. The markets, the election, the stress that comes with the holiday season, these are things that will simply always be there. What matters is how you respond. Don't allow these things to take you away from what you know that you're capable of doing. And remember, it's not about doing everything at once. It's just about making meaningful progress, no matter how small that is, day by day. So as you approach these next 90 days, think about how you want to finish the year. Are you going to coast? Or are you going to take some intentional steps to become the best version of yourself? The world might be completely full of distractions, but your growth, that is fully and completely in your own hands. So let's make sure that when 2025 arrives, you're already ahead of the game. Thank you as always for hanging with me on the Above Board podcast. As I've shared many times on this podcast, this is a journey of my own self-discovery. And sometimes these things I say are for my own ears to hear later, or for me to listen to myself and say, John, you got to do these things too. So certainly I'll be sharing my journey along the way. We'd love for you to maybe take a pause. If you're listening to us on YouTube, share in the comments with us what you plan on doing for the next 90 days. And also share this episode with someone who maybe needs a little bit of that push in the right direction so that we can keep growing together. We'll see you next week on the Above Board podcast. Thanks for listening to me today. Have a good one. Bye.